Hey everyone, this is Mike from Fitzrica.com and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, I make videos about Costa Rica and my life here. So if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Stay up to date with all the new content. So I've been living in Costa Rica for about a year now, and I currently live in a small town called Potrero, which is in the Guanacaste province on the west coast of the country. A few weeks ago, my dad and brother came from the States to visit Courtney and I here in Costa Rica, and we took the ultimate Costa Rica vacation. It was one of the best trips of my life, and in this video I want to talk about that vacation so that maybe you can get some ideas if you're planning a trip to Costa Rica, or if you will come in the future, this video is for you. So the first reason why Costa Rica is such a great vacation spot is because the nature here is just epic. There is so much biodiversity and different types of plant and animals that you're not going to see anywhere else in the world. Definitely a lot different than you'd see in somewhere like the US or Europe or Canada. Also, the people down here are super friendly and super hospitable. In Costa Rica, tourism is the #1 industry, so everyone here is just really accommodating to tourists and is just overall, in general, friendly people here in Costa Rica. The first stop on our trip was La Fortuna. Now, La Fortuna is in the area of Arenal volcano and Lake Arenal, which is kind of towards the center of the country, but in the northern half. Now, Arenal and La Fortuna are the biggest tourist destination in all of Costa Rica because there's so much to do here and it's such a beautiful place. We stayed in an Airbnb, which was just a few minutes away from the La Fortuna Waterfall. The first thing we did in La Fortuna was checked out the famous La Fortuna Waterfall. So this waterfall, it comes right out of the jungle and it just drops hundreds of feet into this huge pool of water. Now, you're not allowed to swim right where the waterfall drops, but if you go just downstream a little bit, you can get in the water and cool off and swim around. It's just amazing. So the thing about this waterfall, it's not a long hike to get to it, but it's all stairs. So you come in, entrance through the park, and you start going straight down, probably a few hundred stairs. So if you're not in good shape, coming back up might be a struggle for you. But if you're physically fit, it will be no problem to get down to. So the #2 thing we did in La Fortuna was go to the hot springs. So this area of Arenal volcano is known for its many hot springs. Because it's a volcano, there's, underground volcanic activity which causes the water to get heated and bubble up to the surface. Now, there are tons of different hot springs in and around Arenal. The one we went to is famous. It's called Tabacon. Tabacon is one of the biggest and one of the nicest hot springs in the whole area. The pools are located, it's kind of a jungle setting, so the pools are right in there with the trees and you're surrounded by forest the whole time. Each pool has like a different temperature, so you can go from one to the next and get progressively hotter. They also have at the entrance one big pool with a swim-up bar where you can order drinks. And there's also like parts of the river where the water's actually running and you can get in the hot springs there. Now also at Tabacon, there's a buffet dinner, so you can go either during the day or at night, and your entrance comes with access to the buffet. So the food's really good and we really enjoyed our time there. It was amazing. So the next place we went in La Fortuna was Místico Hanging Bridges Park. Now, if you're into hiking, this is the spot to go in La Fortuna. You go in this park and it's super well maintained, very nice park, and there's about 10 hanging bridges, which are famous throughout Costa Rica, but this is a great place for them. These bridges are suspended like over valleys in the forest, and when you're walking on them, they actually swing a little bit back and forth. So it can be a little scary if you have a fear of heights, but it's not really that bad. In this park, it's also a great place to spot wildlife. We saw monkeys, butterflies, and even some toucans flying in the forest here in Místico Hanging Bridges Park. Next, the town of La Fortuna is a great little tourist spot. Very picturesque because you have a huge view of the volcano in the back on a clear day. There are a lot of different souvenir shops and different places to get food, and it's really a nice little town to walk around in. spend an afternoon. So one thing to keep in mind when planning a vacation to this part of Costa Rica is the rainy season. It might be best to come during the dry season, which lasts from about December until May. Here it's most likely going to be clear and you have a better chance of getting some nice views of the volcano. If you come in rainy season, it's not going to rain all day and be like completely flooded, but we were there in November and it would rain for maybe an hour a day or maybe half an hour in the morning and half an hour in the afternoon. I still suggest coming during the rainy season, but just make sure you're prepared. You know, bring your umbrella, your rain jacket, things like that. So after La Fortuna, we drove straight to Rio Celeste. Rio Celeste is famous throughout Costa Rica because it is the bright blue waterfall. Now, this waterfall has the most vividly blue water that you've ever seen, and it's a really cool park. You can hike down to the waterfall, and then past the waterfall you can continue and see actually where the blue water starts at where two rivers meet, and it turns blue for the first time. It's really cool, amazing place, and the hike is a little challenging. It took us about 3 hours from start to finish, and it's an out and back. It was also very muddy, so be prepared for that, but this waterfall is well worth the visit. So the third place we went on our trip was Rincon de la Vieja, which is in Guanacaste province, and specifically we stayed at a place called Hacienda Coachepelin. So this hotel, it's interesting, it's kind of on the grounds of the national park, so you're right there surrounded by nature when you stay at this hotel, and there's so much to do there. There's zip lining, tubing, swimming pool, horseback riding, any kind of Costa Rican activity you can think of, you can do there. We actually did the whitewater tubing, which was super fun. It was a little bit intense. We were bombing down these rapids, going pretty fast, but it was a great experience. And we also hiked in the Rincon de la Vieja volcano park. In there, we saw a bunch of volcanic activity like bubbling mud pots and geysers and smoke coming out of the ground, stuff that is really unique to this part of the country. The third thing we did was visit the aguas termales, or the hot springs. This was our second hot springs of the trip, and you hike into the forest, and there's this part right next to the river where you get in the hot springs, and it's such a chill environment. It's really in the middle of nature. You're surrounded by nature, and you can also do the volcanic mud bath where you actually get mud straight from the volcanic mud and you can paint it on yourself, and it just feels so good, and it's supposedly great for your skin. I don't know if I noticed a huge difference, but it was fun anyways. So the last stop on our vacation was we came back to our area where we live in Potrero, and my brother and dad stayed at this hotel that's beachside called Bahia del Sol here in Potrero. This hotel, it's really nice. They have a nice pool with a swim-up bar as well. And I took them to two of the most famous beaches in all of Costa Rica, Playa Conchal, which is shell beach, which is made of crushed up shells instead of sand. It's amazing. You can also go snorkeling there. There's a reef right off the beach where you can see all different kinds of fish. And then Playa Flamingo, we went to, there's a restaurant there called Coco Loco, which is right on the beach. And this is another really beautiful beach, and the sunsets there are just amazing. Then after that, they were here for 6 or 7 nights. The vacation was over. To get back to Liberia Airport from Potrero, it's only about a 45-minute drive, so it's very convenient. And yeah, that was the recap of my vacation. What's great about Costa Rica, there's so many microclimates. So you're in one part of the country, you drive for an hour, the climate and the nature is completely different. And there's just so much to see and do. The people are so friendly and hospitable. And really, this was the ultimate Costa Rica vacation. I hope you learned something if you're planning a trip to Costa Rica. If you do have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comment section below. I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Pura vida.